Hello, I'm Jason Hart, and this is my presentation over the Boeing 737 MAX disasters for Professor Smart's Organizational Behavior course. So let's get started. All right, so today I'm walking through the Boeing 737 MAX disasters from an organizational behavior perspective. This isn't a technical engineering breakdown. This is about the cultural, ethical, and structural failures inside Boeing that created an environment where a system like MCAS could get through with minimal oversight. Because of my background in operations, Six Sigma certification, system integration work, and previously working with aviation clients, I recognize a lot of the behavioral patterns, pressure, assumptions, shortcuts, and communication gaps. This presentation summarizes the OB failures that led to the crashes and the solutions that could realistically prevent something like this from happening again. One of the biggest contributors was Boeing's cultural shift after the McDonnell Douglas merger. Before the merger, Boeing was known for engineering excellence and safety first identity. After the merger, the priorities flipped. Cost, schedule, and shareholder expectations began driving decisions. You can see the shift clearly in how Boeing approached the 737 MAX timeline. Executives pushed hard to compete with the Airbus A320neo, and marketed the MAX as no new simulator training required. That single marketing promise created pressure throughout the organization. From my own experience in logistics and warehouse operations, even subtle shifts in leadership tone can reshape behavior. When the message becomes, let's move faster, people stop double checking things. At Boeing, speed overrode caution at every level, and the culture quietly normalized that. The second major failure was groupthink. Inside Boeing, dissenting opinions weren't just ignored. Employees openly admitted they didn't feel safe speaking up. Some even joked in emails about using Jedi mind tricks on regulators, which shows how deep the normalization of deviance had become. Janus's groupthink theory explains exactly what was happening: pressure to conform, the illusion of unity, mind guards filtering information upward, and rationalizing away risks. In my system integration work, I've seen similar patterns. When deadlines are tight, people stop raising concerns because they don't want to be the one slowing everything down. At Boeing, the don't rock the boat mentality became so strong that key MCAS issues were downplayed, they're hidden, or simply omitted from documentation. Groupthink wasn't just present, it was baked into the workflow. Beyond culture and groupthink, Boeing's structure itself created blind spots. After the merger, engineers began reporting through business channels rather than technical leadership. That shift weakened engineering authority at the exact moment Boeing needed it the most. Communication also broke down across every major touchpoint. FAA engineers weren't told about key MCAS changes. Pilots weren't told MCAS even existed. Optional safety indicators were sold as paid add ons. This is what happens when information moves through silos instead of open pathways. In my own experience working through large technical rollouts, unclear documentation or missing communication leads to rework and hidden risk. Now multiply that by an aircraft flying 500 miles per hour, and you can see how dangerous these gaps became. The strongest fix for Boeing isn't software patches or hardware redesigns. Those are symptoms, not causes. The root issue is behavioral. Boeing has to rebuild safety first, engineering first, culture. That includes psychological safety, restoring engineering authority, and implementing real cross functional review gates that can stop a project if needed. Leadership incentives must shift too. When managers are rewarded for schedule and cost targets, they will unconsciously push the organization toward risk taking. They will, when incentives prioritize safety, transparency, and long term reliability, behaviors shift in the opposite direction. I'm drawing this conclusion from my own experience with Six Sigma and DMAIC projects. You can't improve what leadership doesn't measure. If Boeing wants to prevent future disasters, they must structurally and culturally anchor themselves to engineering excellence instead of speed and competition. In closing, the 737 MAX disasters weren't the result of a single technical flaw. They were the product of cultural shift, communication failures, and structural decisions that weakened Boeing's ability to recognize and respond to risk. If Boeing is going to rebuild trust, it must return authority to engineers, rebuild a safety first culture, and create a review process that makes dissent normal, not inconvenient. Real improvement happens when organizations confront uncomfortable truths, and Boeing's path forward depends on choosing that honesty every time. All right, and that concludes my presentation. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed.